So, what I'm going to talk is about how to assess the recovery process, in this case, the case of Haiti, using sentiment analysis or opinion mining and topic analysis. This is the content of the presentation, and I'm going to ask you to help me in a small survey, please. As you say, Haiti is a country that has gone through a lot: earthquakes, hurricanes, invasions, occupations, political turmoil, and still people is able to smile. Also, it has beautiful beaches. This is a view from the Royal Decameron Hotel that is on the east. And still on the north, there is a beach that is called Labdi, and it's leased until 2015 to 3 cruise lines. It's the country in the Caribbean with the highest number of mountains surrounded by water. They were the first country who was independent, the first Black country who was independent, and I think in Latin America was also in Latin America was the first independent nation. Now, they have a great gastronomic offer that it's a blend between French, Creole, Spanish, and African food. And this is a brand of chocolate that means made at home. The company works in Brooklyn, in New York, but it's relies on Haitian recipe. Now, an entrepreneur, she has travel agency. One day she cannot find a travel bag who fit their purpose. So after 5 years trying different models, she came up with these travel bags, and now it's a branch. The IT also has his own national beer, prestige beer. They have their own rum, Vieux, and it's produced and bottled in Port-au-Prince. This medallion was bought for a person in Cité Soleil, an area that is more known by the gangs, by the violence. These Creole scents are cosmetic made from natural products from Haiti, and it's for the dry, for the skin and the hair. And it sounds crazy, but they have their own ski. Why? Because a Frenchman, after the earthquake in 2010, instead of giving money, he was wise and said, okay, maybe I'm going to sponsor a ski team that they participated in the 2020 Youth Olympic Games with one guy, Mackenzie Florindo, who was an orphan adopted by Canadians. And yes, so there are a lot of things that we don't know from Haiti, because this is the things that we have in mind. The history of Haiti is long, and as I started, is plenty of, there is invasion, occupations, there is political turmoil, earthquakes, hurricanes, the assassination of the country, and besides of that, is exposed to several, is exposed to, I want to use the pointer, and now I cannot. It's okay. No, I can.
You are here.
Yeah, I will.
No,
yeah.
you are there.
Yeah.
No, I do not know where you are.
Yeah, for some reason.
I'm
just nearby you.
It's better to close it. Yeah.
No,
No?
but
For some reason, it's showing.
it's showing here, but not.
No, and it doesn't allow to close. Okay, I will point later. Okay. Now, it's a country that is exposed to all the hazards that you consider. There are areas with serious multi-hazard. The point is, I don't know how to, let me see. Okay, and now what we have is the earthquake in 2010. I know there was an earthquake 2021, but the problem is this earthquake started the situation of Haiti more complicated because there was never a proper recovery. So the earthquake happened in this time with this magnitude. It was very shallow. That's the reason for which it was also so. That was the reason for which it was so destructive, and the number of casualties is not determined yet. We have a high number of injured population, and the losses were terrible, but really high. Now, the earthquake, this is the epicenter, and it happened when the North American plate and the Caribbean plate tried to slide past each other. And this is what we had before the earthquake. We have poverty, we have high physical vulnerability, we also have poor access to or low level of literacy and poor access to sanitation. Then after the earthquake, we have even more. So we have houses destroyed. We have also people homeless. It was necessary to deal with the debris. We also have less schools. The institutionality went down because of the number of servants who died, the number of government buildings destroyed, and some people have to move from the capital, and people have to stay in camps that were located in hazard-prone areas. And we have also the cholera epidemic. So usually post-disaster phases are divided in 3 or 4. I still stick with the UNDP divided in phases, assuming that we live. The priority is to save life. The early recovery is to come back to the basic functionalities of the city, mainly lifelines. Recovery is the restore of living conditions existing before the earthquake, and development is the adoption of sustainable living conditions based on lessons learned. What is the problem? In Haiti, you will see that it's always in a permanent loop between those phases, because anytime that there is a disaster, they start the way to early recovery and something else happens. I have to say that actually rarely countries, maybe Japan, or I will say even New Zealand, reach this phase. Now, what we have, anytime that an earthquake happens or a natural phenomenon struck a country, there is a lot of message on posts in social media. I observed with the L'Aquila earthquake that also when there is an anniversary, maybe the 10th anniversary in this case, there are a lot of posts that happen with L'Aquila. Now, we can extract data from social media text and image. I still use the Bluebird because when I collected the data, it was still Twitter, and I think this is the right symbol for this platform. And now, from this social media, this is data, and from that data is possible to extract meaningful information. But how? So, data from social media is unstructured data. This is what you get, yes? Then to extract data, you need to use natural language processing techniques like sentiment analysis, in which what you do is to classify the data according to the polarity. Everything that contributes to the recovery will consider positive. Information about the earthquake or commemoration ceremonies in this case is neutral, is okay, but it doesn't contribute exactly to the recovery. Negative, it's all that report events or activities or that delay the recovery. Then, for instance, in this case, building reconstructed, in this case, mismanagement of funds. This technique is used usually in customer review. And I use it, why? Because the post-disaster recovery process is a service, I understand that that recovery process is a service that the governments provide to people affected by earthquakes, to their citizens. Then their citizens have the right to complain or to praise the work done by the government. A post-disaster recovery process needs to be led by the government. There is no other actor to do it. Of course, with the contribution of population, but they are the call for lead the processes from the government, to the government. So that's why I use this technique for the post-disaster recovery assessment. Now, between the 6th and the 5th of January 2020, I collect this amount of tweets using these hashtags. When I say I collect is I monitor social media, I identify which hashtag could be related to the anniversary, and I order a third-party vendor for the data. So here you can see the peak in the tweets with these hashtags exactly for the day of the anniversary. Here you can see some examples of this is the most retweeted tweet, this is the most liked, and these other couple of examples. Notice that when it's a company or a civil servant or a public official, I keep the name. In other cases, I just anonymize. And what is the process? The process, so I identify the hashtags related to the commemoration activity. I order the data to a third-party vendor. In that time, I was not working with the computer science school at the university, because in that time it was possible to order the same data for free. Now it's not possible anymore. You need to pay for that. Then I focus only in tweets posted in English, because that was the language spoken by people involved in the project. And I receive the raw data. I convert the tweet handles into the name of the user and emoticons into what they want to express. I eliminate hashtags and separate the hyperlinks. So in that way, start the extraction of the information, classifying the data. How? Using human intelligence, so it means humans labeling the data, classifying the data, and that classification is used later to train the MonkeyLearn is a software as a service that make classification, and these two is a couple of transformation model language that are used also for the classification, and they are fine-tuned used the classification done by humans. Yes. So anytime the human intelligence is needed because it's used to train the model. So you train a 5% or 10% of the data, and the models classify the rest. And based on that, you determine if the recovery process is going well or it's not. Now, for humans, I defined some rules. So everything that contributes to the economic and social recovery of the country is classified as positive. Everything that could delay the progress of the recovery is considered negative. Seismic information and invitations or mention of commemoration ceremonies is considered neutral. And here you can see a couple of examples, 3 examples of each polarity. So positive. So it mentions debris cleared, people earning money, community centers and roads built, and progress in preparedness. That's positive, that contribute to the recovery. Negative, promise broken, like the number of houses that was supposed to be built and they were not. And neutral, it's just a mention of the commemoration ceremony that took place in the embassy of Haiti in UK. Now, in some cases, it's easy to determine the polarity of the tweets, but in some cases, actually no, the most of the cases, a tweet contains different polarities. That's why sometimes the analysis is done at tweet level or a sentence level. Unfortunately, I cannot do the exercise because the idea is that you help me to determine the polarity and of this tweet. But that was to show, for instance, this part is this part is okay because invite to not forget, but here we are talking about a tragedy. This is neutral, it's just the date of the anniversary. They talk about a catastrophic earthquake, that is negative. But it still asks to remember those people who survived and those who lost. So it's a kind of mixing polarities. Now, after doing the analysis of the tweets posted originally in English, some of them still contain some words in Creole, some words in Spanish. We have a sample of 31,000 tweets that correspond to the 65% of the total data set that we got. And we see that the highest percentage of the tweets are negative, followed by positive and neutral. So according to that, we can say that the assessment of the progress of the recovery process is negative. Now, what I can do also is to identify, I can say that it's negative, but now the question is why? Why is negative? Then I can use the technique of the word clouds to determine the frequency of words. Well, Haiti earthquake it doesn't say us nothing new. But if you notice, we start to see the mention to Clinton, Foundation, Bill, Hillary, and this takes us to the mention of Clinton Foundation. Why? Because the Clinton Foundation was the entity in charge of manage all the resources, all the financial resources for the recovery of Haiti. There are mentions in this list, it doesn't appear, but there are mentions to the cholera epidemic. There are also mentions to children. This is something that we are going to see ahead. And here it's a comparison of the accuracy of the machine learning algorithms with what we classify. So if I train only 1% of the tweets, the accuracy is 58. If I train the 5%, is 60. If I train more data, is 62. In this case, I define accuracy of the percentage of match between my classification and the classification of the algorithm. Using the models in which the Cardiff Natural Language Processing Group is working, you see that the accuracy is a bit higher. If the accuracy of the algorithm is 50%, that is acceptable. If the accuracy is 65%, that's good. Even between humans, the match between humans when they classify data is also around 65 and 85%. So this one is okay. And now, besides knowing what the artificial intelligence, what the humans consider regarding the assessment, besides knowing that it's negative, I can say again, we need to know why. That's why we use another natural language processing technique, that is topic analysis. This list comes from the analysis of other recovery case studies after 10 years, like the case of L'Aquila, Chile, and they are usually common. Unfortunately, for the case of Haiti, there are 3 that are particular only for this case. And these are the classification rules for each topic. This is adapted from Nepal, for the case of Nepal. And this is the result. So most of the negative polarity in the tweets regarding the 10th anniversary of the earthquake in Haiti comes from the funding mismanagement, from which always is made guilty Clinton Foundation, child trafficking. There is nothing in academic literature about child trafficking, but it's on the news. Governance that is related to political turmoil, distress caused by the situation. Always there are a mention of people injured and injured or people who die. The invitation to the commemoration actions that curiously, it doesn't rarely take in Haiti, usually are outside in US or in any other place of the world, but rarely in Haiti. Actually, the ceremony that took place in Haiti was interrupted by Protestants. And the delays in the reconstruction, the cholera epidemic that always make mention the United Nations, problems with the emergency response, because we know that Haiti is a fragile state, so they don't have the resources to respond to any emergency. Early recovery, actually the country is still in an early recovery. Solidarity actions are mainly messages and requests for donations, but nobody wants to make any more donations after what it's reported, what happened with the donations 10 years ago, well, already 14. The poor critical infrastructure that there was in the country, and there are hospitals that after 10 years they were still damaged. Giving some seismic information, sexual abuse, again, make a reference to United Nations troops, and they happened even before of the earthquake with the Sri Lanka peacekeeping, but again later with the new troops from United Nations. And food insecurity, there was particularly one intervention that was sponsored by Clinton Foundation, that is to develop an industrial park in an area that first was not affected by the earthquake. Second, it was an area that was used for agriculture, and then it took out some area that was for agriculture to an industrial park that is not used. It's supposed that have to give jobs to 65,000 people, and it hardly give jobs to 15,000. So the country lost land for agriculture, and that contribute to the food insecurity. Climate change, because of the hurricanes that affect the country, the preparedness that mentioned that have been started to be implemented in the country by the 10th anniversary, and the amount of urban facilities that are missing in the country and in the city affected by the earthquake and in the country in general. So here we can see some examples of tweets related to funding mismanagement, to sexual abuse, to child trafficking, and to the cholera epidemic. Okay, while it's established, the first conclusion is that, okay, the progress of the recovery after the earthquake in Haiti is in general negative. And as I said before, as there has never been a proper recovery process after the earthquake in 2010, and then we have the Hurricane Matthew in 2016, and again a big earthquake in 2021, Haiti has been always in a loop between the relief phase and the early recovery phase, and again go back to the early recovery phase and the relief. And actually we can say that it's still in an early recovery, if there is a recovery, because now it's affected by the political turmoil. Thank you. Now, of course, then what I say, the earthquake in 2010 increased the already existing vulnerability. And one thing is definitely the financial resources for a recovery should be managed by a third-party institution who must be totally independent from the donors, from the country who donate the money, to avoid what happened in Haiti. The best time to collect data for the assessment of post-disaster recovery is around the exact date of the anniversary, and especially around the 10th anniversary. And well, it's important to collect data exactly around that time because data in social media is perishable. Curiously, all the data that complains were suspended, belonged later to suspended accounts, or they are deleted, so it's good to collect the data around that date. Still, we have a problem that is common with social media, that is about mis and disinformation. Why? Because the 10th anniversary of the earthquake happened during the Trump period, and there was a lot of haters that write against Clinton Foundation, and they even considered that they were also responsible of the child trafficking, which is something that I'm not sure if it's already proven, yes, but it's mentioned. And the proposed classification rules, the idea is to discuss it and validate it with the stakeholders from the local area. Then you can't protect the analysis from mis and disinformation, because they are those who can tell you what is true or what is not. And of course, the accuracy of the machine learning algorithms for automatic classification is higher when you train more data. And well, the idea is to continue working with transformation-based language models that the accuracy is high. And yeah, that's the presentation. And these are some of the references that I use. And thank you.